What's up guys? Sean Russell from menimprovement.com here, and today I want to talk about what happens inside your brain when you watch porn. There's so much stuff going around the web like Reddit NoFap and all these sites telling men not to watch porn, and we tell men not to watch porn on menimprovement.com. And I just want to clear the air about why these sites are telling you guys that. It's not a moral issue, it's not a religious issue, it's not that we care whether you watch porn or not. It's that these sites that talk about this, like menimprovement.com, we are out there to help men improve their lives. So we're telling you straight up that from a scientific standpoint, by not watching porn, you will improve your life. If you don't want to improve your life, keep watching porn. Turn this video off. Do not care. But I'm telling you this because it's my job to help you improve your life, and I'm going to explain what happens inside your brain in this short video, and you're going to know why porn is so bad for you afterwards, and you may consider stopping if you haven't already. So let's talk about your brain. Let's talk about evolution. We've been evolving for hundreds of thousands of years to be the human beings we are today, and it's our DNA's primary goal to survive and to reproduce. So at the primal level, our brains, our bodies, our DNA, we want to survive and we want to reproduce. So this is why porn is so dangerous, because two things come into play here, and it's one, the Coolidge effect, and two, dopamine. So the Coolidge effect is something I'll explain in a second, and dopamine is a neurotransmitter. It's a motivating hormone in your brain, the motivating neurotransmitter in your brain that makes you seek reward, love, happiness, food. When you see food, your brain pumps out dopamine because it wants you to go get that food. It wants you to feel good. It wants you to seek that reward. The food supplies you with dopamine, so the next time you see food, you want it because it's going to give you that dopamine. It's going to motivate you. It's the same way with sex. You have sex, it's awesome. You pump out dopamine, so your brain goes, wow, I really like sex. I want to have more sex, because your brain wants you to reproduce, because if that didn't happen, you wouldn't have sex and there would be no civilization, there'd be no human beings. So I'm digressing here. So let's talk about the Coolidge effect. The Coolidge effect is this phenomenon in our primal brains where we see a naked woman and we automatically want to reproduce with her. And it's our genetic coding. We are lucky enough to have a prefrontal cortex where we can think about like attraction, and if we're not attracted to her, then we won't have sex with her. But if we didn't have this prefrontal cortex, like an animal or a mouse, let's say, we would have sex with pretty much every naked woman that we saw. So the Coolidge effect is essentially that you see the naked woman, your brain wants to have sex with her and reproduce with her. You do so, and then you become disinterested. But if you see another naked woman, your brain will want to reproduce with her because it's a new woman, and you will, and then afterwards you won't really care. You will become disinterested, at least momentarily. And then if you see a new naked woman, you will want to reproduce with her just as much as you did the first and second one, because your arousal will spike. This is called the Coolidge effect. It can be seen in humans. They did a study in Australia where men were watching porn and they began to lose their erections while watching the same video for a while, but it was only switching videos to new girls that increased their erection back to its full size and spiked their arousal. It could also be seen in a laboratory study done with rats where you put a male rat in a cage and you drop a female in, he'll immediately mate with her, and then he will lie down and go to sleep. But if you drop another one in, he'll get up, he'll mate with a new one, he'll become disinterested, lie down and go to sleep. And then you put a new one in, he will get up right after, mate with a new one, lie down and go to sleep. And he will do this for as long as he physically can. So we would also do the same thing, but we have a prefrontal cortex which will tell us, hey, I don't want to have sex with this girl. She's like my boss's daughter, or I'm not attracted to her, or things like this. Mice don't have this, so they just have sex. They just reproduce and then they become disinterested. But at the genetic primal level, we are programmed the same way. So this will make sense when I tie it into porn. So let's take porn, for example. Let's take the Coolidge effect and porn. You're watching porn, and within 20 minutes, you've seen 10 naked women having sex, and your brain has been shooting dopamine out like crazy. It's been spiking your arousal because every single one of these girls to your brain is a female to have sex with. Your brain does not know you're looking at a computer screen. Your brain sees these 2D women and it's telling you to have sex with them by pumping out excessive levels of dopamine. And the problem here is that when you have sex naturally, yes, you pump out dopamine, but then you're done having sex and your dopamine goes down and it's fine. But because of the Coolidge effect, as you're watching porn, with every new scene that you click, your brain will pump out more dopamine. It thinks it's a new woman. Ooh, new woman, let's have sex with her. After a while, getting kind of bored, oh wait, but we can just click a button. There's a new woman, more dopamine. We can do this for hours, which is why porn is so satisfying. And it is satisfying, you know, like I'm not gonna lie, I used to love porn, but I've been porn free for 2 years, and I'll tell you, it's much more satisfying to be porn free and actually enjoy and feel great about your life. So essentially what happens over time is with these unnatural spikes in dopamine because of extended porn use, which can be 5 times longer than your dopamine is spiked when having sex, and even higher than your dopamine is spiked when having sex, your dopamine sensors in your brain and your synapses, they start to become accustomed to this ridiculously unnatural level of dopamine. Because throughout history, you know, we're only meant to have 1 to 30 female partners in a lifetime. Back when we were cavemen, it was probably only 1 to 2. We'd see a naked woman, we'd reproduce, and it was awesome, and this is how our brains were built. But now we're seeing 5 times this many sexual partners in one day when you're watching porn. So your brain is just not developed, not evolved to handle this. Porn has only been around for 15 years, internet porn, and we've been having sex for millions of years. So we are not ready for this, and we won't be for a very long time. And what's happening is that our dopamine sensors, your dopamine sensors as a daily porn viewer, are starting to die off because you have so much dopamine pumping out during porn use. So what happens when this happens? Well, what do you think happens? Dopamine is your motivation chemical. It's your reward chemical. And when you start to downregulate dopamine because you're getting so much when you watch porn, your brain's like thinking, oh, you know, we don't need all these sensors because there's so many sexual partners for us. This is fucking awesome. Like, I can just have sex every single day for hours on hours and hours, and we have enough dopamine, so we only need like 3 sensors. When normally it's like you're having sex a couple times a week or once a day with one woman, you need more dopamine sensors to feel the same pleasure. So your dopamine sensors start to die off, and then you try to have sex with a real woman and you can't get a boner. And this is why a study done at Cambridge University showed that 50% of daily porn users cannot get erections with women, but they have no issues whatsoever getting erections with porn. That's terrible. That's a joke. And it's unacceptable. And the same study also showed that porn addicts, guys who watch porn every single day, multiple times a day, which is most guys, they won't admit they're addicts, but it's most guys. You probably watch porn every single day. I did. They don't have a higher sex drive than men who don't watch porn. You know, it was so hard for them to find men who don't watch porn for this study, but they finally did, and they don't have higher sex drives. They are just addicted to it the same way someone is addicted to heroin, because when they shoot up their heroin, they get an insane amount of dopamine. Their sensors die off because there's more dopamine than you usually need. And then everyday life, when normal dopamine comes out from a hug and from things like this, you don't have enough sensors. It just doesn't feel as good. So you need more heroin. You need more porn. You can't get an erection without porn. And then this translates into life. Life becomes dull. You start to become demotivated. Things just don't feel good. And people develop depression and anxiety. If you're having excessive dopamine for 10 years straight and your sensors are all messed up, you develop chemical imbalances, and it results in depression and anxiety in your 20s. And this is so prevalent nowadays. So I hope I'm not overwhelming you with all this crazy science, and I kind of explained it in a way that makes sense, because it took me a while to learn all this stuff, and I'm trying to do it in a quick video for you. But essentially, you watch too much porn, your dopamine is excessively high because of the Coolidge effect constantly. Your sensors in your synapses downregulate to handle that much dopamine, and then everyday life amounts of dopamine and sex don't stimulate you enough because you don't have enough sensors, you can't get erections, you can't ejaculate with women, sex seems really boring, so you need more porn. Eventually the porn you watch isn't good enough, so you need more hardcore porn, and you start watching crazy kinky shit like Japanese style stuff, and eventually some guys even start watching gay porn, and you're a mess, you get an anxiety disorder, you get depression, and your life is not what it should be. That's what porn can do to your brain if you're watching it every day, and it's harmless to most guys, they say, growing up until they hit a point in their 20s, and it sucks. I watched porn from age 10 to age 23, and I never thought anything of it. Me and my friends would just talk about it all the time like it was normal. And then I got to a point where just sex sucked and I had the worst sex life, and I did something about it. I quit porn. And if you want to do the same, I wrote an awesome ebook that you can get for free, which is the top 10 ways to stop watching porn. I'll link to it below. And I'm rambling, but very passionate about this subject because, again, I want you to improve your life. And understanding this is the first step. And then, deciding if you want to try it and try to stop watching porn, what will happen is your brain will rebuild its dopamine sensors again, and things will start to feel good, and you'll start to get erections with real women. And trust me, it's worth it. If you have been watching porn since the age of 10, I basically say that you haven't had real sex yet. You haven't had porn-free sex. You don't even know how good it can feel. And it's amazing. So think about not watching porn. Check out all the links to all the signs below. Get my free ebook below, and check out manliness.com. So we're building men into incredible, incredible men every single day, and you don't want to get left behind.